Hey guys, I've got another video for you today. Today I'm going to be answering a question that I've often been asked, which is, can you make a video to tell us how to fix our system? Now, my answer's always been no, I can't, because too many systems have too many variables. There could be any number of problems on any number of systems, so making one video to fix every system ever has always seemed impossible. But today I'm going to try and achieve the impossible and film a video to tell you how to fix any problem on any system ever. So I gave this problem some thought and I figured out what I need to tell you is not necessarily the sequence of buttons to push to fix the problem that you're having, but how can you find out what the problem is for yourself and then go about fixing it yourself. And so today's video is on fault finding. How do you find a fault in your system? How do you isolate what that problem is? And then what do you need to do to go about fixing it? So I've come up with 4 rules that I'm going to teach you today. And if you follow these 4 rules, then you should be able to find any fault on any system. And then you can work out what you need to do to sort that out. So the first rule is replace. Go through your system one by one and replace each item to try and find the fault, find the thing that's not working. When you replace the one that's not working, the system should then start working again. So if you can go through your system from beginning to end, replacing each part, you should be able to find the bit that's not working and be able to sort it out. Now it's helpful with this to think through what can sometimes be thought of as the audio chain or the video chain, which is the order in which that audio or video is being processed. So for example, if we think of an audio chain, we're going to start with our microphone. The microphone is going to be the beginning of that chain. The microphone then connects to a cable. That's the second part of that chain. That cable might then plug into a stage box. That would be the next part of that chain. And then the stage box plugs into a channel on the mixing desk. That will be the next part of that chain. The mixing desk into maybe a speaker processor or an amplifier. The next part of that chain. That will connect into a speaker cable. And then that speaker cable will ultimately plug into a speaker. And we can go through those things one at a time. We can replace the microphone. If I swap this microphone over, does the problem go away? I can replace the cable. If I change the cable, does the problem go away? If I change the input on my stage box to a different input, does the problem go away? And we can go through sequentially, one by one, each of those items, replacing them one at a time until the problem goes away. And once we know the problem's gone away, we know what the problem was and we know how to fix it. So rule number 1, replace it. Rule number 2 is simplify the system. Are there things in your system that you can remove to simplify that system down and see if you can get rid of the problems that way? So if we go back to our previous example, microphone, mic cable, stage box, mixer, well, let's take our microphone and our mic cable to the back of the church and plug it directly into the mixer, removing the multi-core. If we simplify our system that way, can we solve our problem? If we remove part of the system and that solves the problem, then we know the bit that we removed is where the problem is. So try and simplify your system, cut some bits out of it, make it smaller, make it simpler, and see if you can remove the problems that way. And then one by one start to add those things back in again, and as you add those things back in, take note as to when that problem starts to occur again. Now sometimes once you've simplified a system and you start to build it back up again, you might find that the problem doesn't come back at all. And in which case the most likely problem was a cable that wasn't quite located properly. And by removing things and then plugging them back in again, you're disconnecting it, reconnecting it, and then when you plug that cable back in the second time round, that cable gets a better connection than what it had before. And now the system has sorted itself out and the problem's gone away. So that can actually happen sometimes. You take it apart, rebuild it, never find what the problem was, but the problem's now gone away. And it's most likely because there was just a cable not quite in somewhere. Rule number 3 is duplicate. Can you duplicate the problem? If we have one camera plugged in and the image is flickery, and then we plug a second camera in and that image is flickery too, then we know the problem doesn't lie on the cameras, but the problem lies on something that both of those two cameras are plugged into, probably something like a vision mixer or something else further down the chain. So if you can duplicate the problem by adding extra things in, you can sometimes find out what it might be when you've got a common cause between all of those things that are causing the problem. And then my fourth rule for fault finding a system is going to be replicating. Can you replicate the problem? Sometimes when you come to find a problem, you might not be able to do it on a Sunday morning. There can be quite a lot going on. You haven't got the time or the space to be able to start pulling systems apart and finding out where the problem lies. And so you might decide to come back midweek and try and find the problem then instead. And you turn the system on midweek and you find that everything is absolutely fine. Then come the next Sunday, you turn the system on and suddenly the problem's occurring again. And so when you try and replicate a problem in a different situation, in a different time of week, a different time of day, think about what other implicating factors there might be that might be causing you to have this problem. For example, is the heating system on or off? Are people using things like photocopiers in another room? These things can cause interference on a main supply, and if you've got a main supply that's shared with your PA system, then you might find you get things like hums and buzzes while the photocopier is running. And so if you replicate a situation, try and replicate as many of the conditions as you possibly can. Try and get the heating to be the same as it would be when you have the problem on a Sunday morning. Try and get the lighting to be the same as it would be on a Sunday morning. If on a Sunday morning you have a hot water heater running in a kitchen, try and run that hot water heater while you're testing for the problem. The more of these things that you can replicate, the more similar you can make the situation, the better it will be. The real key to all of these rules is to keep calm and to think logically. As soon as you start trying to rush ahead, you miss steps out. And if you don't do things in a logical order, you'll always struggle to find the fault and to find the problem. For example, if you try replacing things and you replace the microphone and then you just jump onto the mixing desk and replace the channel and then you come back and try and replace the XLR, you might lose track of the things that you have changed and the things that you haven't changed, and you actually lose where the problem was and where the problem definitely wasn't. If you can think things through in a logical, sensible order from beginning to end, try changing each element one at a time, that is how you will find the problem. If you start rushing, if you start panicking, if you start skipping steps, you might just skip the step where the problem lies and never manage to find where the problem is at all. So stay calm, stay focused, stay logical, and follow those 4 steps. And you should be able to solve any problem on any system ever. So I hope that video has been helpful for you. If it has, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon as well so you'll be notified when there's some more of these that come up. And it will be really helpful for me if you can share this video with anybody else who might be struggling, might be having problems with their system. Please share this, that would be great. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. So what do you think of this shot here? I can't quite decide whether I like this angle or not. Let me know what you think. I feel like it's a little bit plain and a little bit boring. Does it work? Tell me what you think. Most of my other shots I've tried to have like little accessories in, like maybe a plant pot or the guitar or something else that's just kind of in the background, just gives a little bit of, don't know, some sort of interest to it. Does this shot work? I don't know. What do you think?